Welcome to the Victorian, where your fears, your worries, and even your loneliness are devoured by the flame. My story today recaps the events of last year, October 15th, when I was working in my workshop and I found an old bronze cylinder. Inside the cylinder was a letter from a young girl. It was a young girl dying, sadly. She wanted to release her secret, her gift, not in the shadow of her death. So she devised a plan, a riddle, that I must solve to release her gift at a later date. It was now 130 years later, and somehow I was chosen to find it. The letter was pretty simple. It made a few simple statements, and I will read them for you now. My secret, my gift, will only be found on your favorite day of the year, and you will only find it with the help of friends. I want to release my gift at a later date. My whole life has been filled with sorrow and pain, and I did not want my secret, my gift, released in the shadow of my death. Do not anguish if you never solve this riddle. It will not be easy to solve. I did not want anyone to find it close to my death, so it is well hidden. It is where the little ones keep their treasures. Remember, you will only find this gift, if you do, on your favorite day of the year. Well, it sounded like a strange letter. It gave me a task I did not envy, and parts of me did not want, because of the fear of failure. But I could not fail this little girl. I did not understand everything in the letter, but I worked feverishly for several weeks, knowing that my favorite day of the year was Christmas Eve, and I live in the Christmas Victorian. Born January 1st, 1870, the first official year of Christmas in the United States. I worked feverishly for weeks, looked in the attic, and the only thing I could find in the attic was an old mirror in the corner. Nothing special. The basement was full of things. I tore everything out of the basement. The whole time I was doing this, my large Maine coon cat was beside me, looking at me, trying to figure out what I was doing. As I worked so feverishly, I took everything out of the basement. Nothing. I looked in every hemlock timber, see if I could find a carving, see if I could find any words. That was her secret. With no luck. I had anguish of fear. I found nothing after weeks. The next morning I woke up, and during breakfast my large Maine coon cat brought down a mouse and placed it on the floor, in the middle of the floor of the kitchen. He backed away from the mouse, and the mouse ran over him and stood between his legs. I thought, this is odd, this is strange. After a minute, he picked up the mouse and went back upstairs again. I continued to look for a few more days, because that's all I had left. Before Christmas Eve, the day before Christmas Eve, I went to sleep. A failure. I have not found anything, nothing that would lead me to her secret, her gift. That night I went to sleep, and was awoken at 12:04. by my large Maine coon cat tapping me on the nose. I looked at the clock, and I realized what day it was. It was Christmas Eve day, very early, and above me I heard something. I heard an acorn being rolled across the floor, and then I realized that's a little one, moving its gift, its treasure, to a spot, and that must be the spot where the secret is. I sprung out of bed, pulled down a ladder, sprung up the stairs as quickly as I could, and I looked, and all I saw was a mouse's tail disappear behind the mirror. I quickly went downstairs to get a flashlight and some tools. I went over to the mirror and realized it was not a mirror at all. It was a shadow box mirror. I quickly took it apart. At this time I could see it was filled with acorns. The mouse was gone already. I was only gone a minute, but the mouse had disappeared. And there it was, the secret or gift written on the inside of the mirror. My anguish left me because I finally found it, and her writing came true. I would only find it on my favorite day of the year, Christmas Eve Day. The secret or gift was simple. Few lines. It read like this: the secret of life. The second line was simple, to the point. Only leave love behind. It's the only thing that can grow when you are gone. I put my head down and realized that a sickly girl would have a different perspective on life. She would see things simply, the way they are, without the hustle and bustle of life. She could look at things objectively and realized what really mattered. At that point, I went downstairs, put the mirror back together before I did, and went to sleep. The next morning, I began to wake, and right at the point where dream stage is mixed with reality, I heard a voice, a young girl's voice, in front of me. A simple statement: "Thank you." My eyes began to well with tears, but I refused to open them. The last thing I wanted this girl to see in this house were my tears. At that point, I felt a spirit pass through me, filled with happiness, fulfillment, and then it was gone. I went back to sleep, or tried to, but I could not. I walked down the hall, past my Maine Coon cat, and there it was, the mouse, sleeping in his fear. So the last part of the riddle I then understood. It was not me who solved the riddle, who found the writing in the mirror. It was these friends, the friendship between a large Maine Coon cat and his little friend, who stored his treasures in the back of the shadow box mirror. Well, till next time, I am inspired by the Victorian to write another story. Goodbye.